So this was big, and this happened this week also. President Obama said that he won't wait for Congress to push his legislative agenda through. This sort of goes to what we were just talking about, because we do have separation of powers, and Congress is supposed to make laws. The president's supposed to execute them, but that's really not what he's saying he's going to do here. He's going to use executive orders as much as possible. Here's exactly what he said. We are not just going to be waiting for legislation in order to make sure that we're providing Americans the kind of help that they need. I've got a pen and I've got a phone, and if I can use that pen to sign executive orders and take executive actions, and I've got a phone that allows me to convene Americans from every walk of life. Okay, that seems slightly problematic to me. Again, separation of powers. He's supposed to enact the laws, not write them. But he does have some leeway with this kind of stuff. And I'm not defending Congress. They don't do anything right. Their approval rate's at 7%. They hate the guy. They don't want to do anything with him. But isn't there a little danger in a president that's saying, I'm not going to wait for the rest of the system to work, and I'm just going to go ahead and do what I want to do?
Sounds kind of mavericky.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. This is why
sounds very Emperor Palpatine from Star Wars, don't you think?
This is also why yes, idealistically, I totally agree. It's
I'm a dreamer.
bad.
That's the thing.
Of course, but that's the problem, because that is the liberal idea, or ideal, is you kind of want things to work the way they're supposed to work. And I think that's why we always lose, is because the other side doesn't really care if things work that way. Like, I think a big complaint about President Obama's first term is that he tried very hard to do things the right way.
Right, and they said no every time.
Exactly. And I think when you look at how Bush and Cheney ran things, it was with kind of an iron fist, and I didn't like those decisions, so I really hated the means that they were gotten. But if those are now the rules of the game, Democrats can't get into the White House, lose at every legislative opportunity for 8 years, hand it back to the other side, and be like, okay, you guys destroy the country, and then we'll do our best to fix it the right way. You kind of have to. Otherwise, the pendulum has to swing the other way, or nothing. We're just going to keep going down a darker, smaller government, less protection path.
Right, but isn't there a risk in the pendulum swinging the other way, and then, let's say a Republican gets in that you don't agree with his agenda, and then he says, well, screw you, Congress, because Obama set the precedent. I'm going to do everything by executive order. So how do we negotiate how this should all work? Because you can't like it if it's your guy and then not like if it's the other guy, right? Well, that's the principles thing you were talking about.
That's what I'm talking about, is that I think Obama hasn't set the precedent. I think this precedent had been set by the previous administration. And actually Obama, though has used a lot of executive orders, has not used them in quite as sweeping ways as Bush has. And I think this goes to a bigger issue with the Democratic Party being so bad at being Congress, at being in Congress, even when they had the majority, and even as a minority, they're just terrible at uniting behind a thing. Like because it's all like, oh no, the idealistic thing that nobody wants to compromise with each other in the Democratic Party. They'll compromise with the Republicans to get things done.
Yeah. But, well, we got a budget this week, right?
Exactly. But it's Democrats are really bad at coming together and making things happen. Republicans are really good at it. And so whatever way Democrats can move their agenda forward seems like it's going to be good, because the agenda is going to be coming back the other way next time around.
So is part of this problem, besides the specific things that you're talking about, that we sort of forget what is supposed to govern us? Like, I've now said the separation of powers 10 times, but that we don't really spend any time really realizing that we have a branch that decides what's legal, a branch that's supposed to pass the laws, and a branch that's supposed to execute the laws. And so it really comes down to education. Like, if people really understood how the system's supposed to work, maybe we wouldn't have to deal with a lot of the nonsense that Jack's talking about, right? I mean, is this just an education thing?
No, it's a great point. And I think that people, the Affordable Care Act has been like a really amazing, offering of Obama's campaign. But I think in general, a lot of people wish that he would have been able to accomplish more. And so I think 6 years in to say something like this, I think it's a positive. Well, I don't know if it's a positive thing necessarily, but I think that people kind of want to hear that from him.
Right. And also, he doesn't have to run for re-election. So at this point, maybe he's just putting the pedal to the metal and being like, "Screw you guys! I'm going to do whatever the hell I can get away with."
Well, I think you're right there, and I think that's actually the problem with the whole situation. Is if more congressmen didn't worry about re-election, if there were term limits that could make it that we had a lot of congressmen who were doing it for 2 terms and then getting out, or 3 terms and getting out, then I think you could see more movement in a good way. But everybody's so worried about protecting their seat that just nothing's going to get done. It's a balance between idealism and practicality, and the fact is, like, I want the idealistic version to work, but then we have to fix the system and like give incentive. Like, the incentives aren't aligned with our best interests.
Yeah. And I'm an idealist, which is why I'm doing this instead of, I guess, running for Congress or something like that.